Shabbat Shalom. So how is everybody? This week has brought incredible news. With the announcement of the release of the hostages set to take place within days, and the first phase of the long-hoped-for end to the war. This is a monumental and historical moment for the Israelis and the Palestinians. After 2 years of unimaginable suffering for so many, we stand on the cusp of starting a new day, a day that we can finally call October 8th. We feel a sense of anticipatory relief and elation at the return of the hostages and the advent of peace, yet we may feel cautious as we are aware of how fragile peace can be. And we are also only too aware of how Jewish life has been impacted these past 2 years. The onslaught of anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism has exploded like a tidal wave and will not likely dissipate anytime soon, even at this moment of impending peace. Many of the voices that cried out with hatred against Israel, demanding a ceasefire, have fallen silent. After months of shouting, their silence speaks volumes. Our world has changed profoundly. And at this juncture, we are particularly mindful of the choices we make and how they shape the course of future generations. This ancient truth lies at the heart of this week's Torah portion, in which we read a passage that we know well from the High Holy Days. It's called the 13 Attributes of God. God, compassionate and gracious, slow to anger, abounding in kindness and faithfulness, extending kindness to the 1000th generation, forgiving iniquity, transgression, and sin. We read this text many times in recent days as we started the new year, praying for God's forgiveness and compassion. And yet, when we look at the original context, we see that this text does not end there. There is more. God, compassionate and gracious, slow to anger, abounding in kindness and faithfulness, extending kindness to the 1000th generation, forgiving iniquity, transgression, and sin, yet not remitting all punishment, but visiting the iniquity of the parents upon children and children's children to the 3rd and 4th generation. It's an unsettling statement. Instinctively, we may want to back away from this idea and discount it as some kind of outdated biblical idea that no longer applies. What does it mean that God visits the iniquity of parents upon their children? We are not alone in our discomfort with this text. Our sages, too, struggled to make sense of it. They often paired it with another text from the Torah that states the exact opposite. Parents shall not be punished for their children, nor children for their parents. Each person shall be punished for their own sin. The sages reinterpret this verse to mean that future generations will remember their parents' transgressions, and then they will have the power to choose whether to continue in their parents' path or turn to a new direction. In this reading, it's not about inherited punishment. Rather, it's about inherited patterns. The moral, social, and spiritual choices that we make ripple outward across generations. The ikar, the central teaching, is that what we do today shapes tomorrow. From family to community to nation, our choices define the moral, environmental, and political worlds that our children will inherit. This is not divine cruelty. It's moral realism. It isn't about vengeance, but about consequence, the ripple effects of moral life. And we are seeing these ripples in real time. Moments like this remind us that peace itself is an intergenerational act, something planted, tended, and worked for across lifetimes. This is also the time to look inward and to ask, what seeds of peace and justice are we planting here in our neighborhoods, in our schools, and in our city? Locally, we are on the cusp of a very consequential election. And the choices we make at this moment will define our future. We must choose leaders and policies that will shape the moral landscape of our children for the better. Do you remember when you first entered a voting booth? Did your parents bring you with them? Do you take your children with you, if you have children, to vote? Not only do we want to encourage our children to understand the importance of voting, we also understand that our choices have generational consequences. In the past, we may have voted across party lines or followed endorsements from sources we trusted, but the world has changed so much in recent years. We can't always draw a straight line from a principle we once held to the one that feels most right at this moment. Generational trajectories, in some sense, have become frayed, especially now as our community continues to face an onslaught of anti-Semitic speech, threats, and violence. We must think carefully and courageously about the next generation and vote for the candidates who understand the urgent need to combat hate, anti-Zionism, and anti-Semitism, and to vote for those who most closely align with your values, with justice, compassion, and truth. As the prophet Jeremiah teaches, seek the welfare of the city where I have sent you. Our choices shape the world for our children. This ancient truth is captured beautifully in a famous Talmudic story about a man called Honi the Wise. One day, Honi walked along a road and saw a man planting a carob tree. Honi asked the man, "How long will it take for this tree to bear fruit?" The man replied, 70 years or so. Honi asked, "Do you think you will live another 70 years to be able to eat its fruit?" And the man answered, "Perhaps not. But when I came into the world, I found carob trees planted by my father and grandfather and mother and grandmother. Just as they planted for me, I will plant for my children and grandchildren." Shabbat Shalom.